Greetings, citizens, and thanks for tuning in to the very first Nindie Nation Mini. I'm Jeff, and if you're new here, thanks for stopping by. Usually we take a look at every new indie game that hits the Nintendo Switch every single week, but this past week I was on vacation and wasn't going to do an episode until I saw just how great some of this week's releases are. So today, we're just focusing on the games that seem worth your time, and we'll be back on track for a regular show next week. Now strap in, citizens, hit that like button, and let's get started with 9 promising new release indies hitting the Nintendo Switch through July 30th. The first big game of the first little Nindie nation comes to us all the way from Romania. Well, I guess the distance is relative to anyways. Alien Pixel Studios releases Unbound Worlds Apart for $19.99. I'm not sure what you call this, a Metroidvania, an Ori-like, an exploration platformer? I don't know, but I do know that it's gorgeous and there's a demo available right now. The look and feel that falls somewhere between the Ori games and Hollow Knight is unmistakable, but then it throws in this parallel world mechanic that seems very similar to Guacamelee 2's. Now, I know I'm just explaining the game by comparing it to others, which might not be super helpful, but I really dig the creepy but not scary vibe and the emphasis on gaining new abilities for movement alongside multiple portals that you can summon to address all kinds of situations. Hopefully we can check out Unbound during this week's Nindies at Night, but if not, you can still go download the demo and try it out for yourself. And then the main reason this episode exists at all is because I've been playing the mess out of Trigger Witch, and citizens, I got some thoughts. Rainbite's last game was Reverie, a cute little concoction that looks like Earthbound but plays like Link to the Past. This time, The Witch's Brew mixes fast twin-stick shooting action with visuals straight out of 16-bit Hyrule. That combo is then bolstered by a story, progression, and presentation of something like Secret of Mana. It's a really great formula. The only downside I've seen is that sometimes the game feels a bit fetch-questy or maybe even padded, but I say that as less of a caveat because the game itself is only going to run you 6 to 8 hours anyway. Outside of that, though, the action is fun and arcadey, pretty intense and engaging, but never too hard. It treats death and progression in a way that makes neither feel like a chore, and the constant new weapons and abilities that you get made the whole playtime really fun. And then, this is practically becoming a video review on its own, I can't stop without shouting out the presentation here. It's really, really great. The story follows a small but interesting cast of witches in a world that has given up on magic and turned to ballisticism, or guns. With a general loop of see some story, explore the overworld, grab an upgrade or two, tackle a dungeon, and repeat, the story pulls you along quite nicely and is told in a way that seems to be punching above the game's weight. And that's a good thing. Trigger Witch is $15, and for that price, I think it's great. Check it out with us during Nindies at Night this Thursday to see what you think, but if what you're seeing here is piquing your interest, know that Trigger Witch delivers in spades, even if it gets a bit redundant on occasion. So, I'm most intrigued by Unbound, and I'm already having a great time with Trigger Witch, but it's this next game that I am most excited for. Blaster Master 03 likely only excites you if you've played either of the previous entries, the first of which being a launch title for the Switch and the sequel releasing in the summer of 2019. This series is developed by the good side of NT Creates, who makes stuff like Mighty Gunvolt Burst and the 8-bit Bloodstained titles. Blaster Master 0 in general combines side-scrolling exploration where sometimes you're hopping around in your tank, and sometimes you're squeezing through small secret passages as the much more fragile Jason. And then most of the combat takes place in the interior areas where the game is a bit more like a top-down isometric shooter. There's also some puzzle solving, but it mixes in with the combat in some super smart ways. Throw in a generally anime but interesting story and all kinds of secrets and upgrades to find, and I couldn't be more stoked to see how this trilogy pans out. I'll be buying this on day one, and I've already ordered the physical trilogy through PlayAsia. Blaster Master 03 launches on sale for the super reasonable price of $11.99, which is a 20% discount. Check out our Let's Play of BMZ2, and if you're new to the series, go check out the demo for the original Blaster Master Zero, and rest assured that if you like that, the rest of the series will be right up your alley. If that wasn't enough, we've got Eldest Souls, a game I've had my eye on for nearly 2 years now, is finally getting its release by Fallen Flag Studios and United Label Games for $19.99. If the name didn't give it away, this is a Souls-like isometric combat game where you'll explore a desolate, awesome dungeon-like cathedral tackling foes in a boss rush format. As usual for the genre, you'll face enemies and master the dodge-parry flow in order to best each boss. After the battles, you earn talent points that can be applied all across a decently deep skill tree as you work your way towards the next menace. Eldest Souls has been available through demos and early access on PC for a few months now, and all of the impressions I've found are very positive, so keep this 16-bit beauty on your wish list, and as with many others discussed today, we'll check it out on stream if time allows. The last game I have labeled as a "oh hell yeah" for the week is the sequel to one of my favorite, super cheap, super short, and super charming games, as Super Squidlet releases on sale for $8.99. Squidlet released right at the start of 2020 with a single goal: to capture the nostalgia and fun of original Game Boy platformers, black and green color schemes and all. The original was only $2 and could be completed in about an hour, but it really did nail exactly what it set out to accomplish, and as soon as I played it, I couldn't wait to see what the team did next. Super Squidlet is a similar approach, much like a Kirby game, but now built within the confines of the Game Boy Color, and is much more approachable if you don't have the nostalgia for puke green platformers. The team at Squidlet Inc. told me that the sequel is roughly 4 times the size of the original, so $9 is a pretty reasonable price. If you're all about this throwback fun, go pick it up, but if you're on the fence, put it on your wish list, wait for a sale, and grab it the next time you're in the mood for a fun retro romp. As we move on from the list labeled "oh hell yeah," we'll check out the list I labeled
"good chance this is solid."
But before that, here's 2 titles that I labeled as
Huh?
The first title of this duo is a game developed by a team called Southeast Games, which is the kind of name I'd think a mob would use for a shell company or something. They, well, paint the town red, first of all. There's no way this is worth $20. It's just like that drunken bar fight VR game, but in first person with graphics that look like Diet Minecraft. This is probably fun on stream for some throwaway laughs, and I could see it being some stupid fun if it drops to maybe $2 and you plan to laugh at it with some buddies. Otherwise, Paint the Town Red is probably one you can skip. And the other side of the coin is one that, being developed by
Rainy Frog,
I'd typically toss in the garbage pile with all of the other mobile shovelware ports. And I was just getting ready to do that with Pixel, Puzzle, and Watch Collection, until I dug a little deeper. Obviously, this is an outright infringement on Nintendo's own Game & Watch series, but the approach here is interesting. You play these little LCD games, think like Tiger Electronics toys from the early 90s, but you actually play on the fake hardware. There's 3 games that I can't really see you getting much more than a few minutes of fun out of, but there's just something mesmerizing about the trailer. I don't know who the hell this is for, and I don't recommend it. I just wanted to include it because, well, it made me say,
Huh?
And then there's 3 games that I'm pretty sure are going to be good, but for one reason or another, I just don't have the confidence to lump them in with that first batch of games. However, if there's one game that is right on the edge of the categories labeled
"oh hell yeah,"
and
"good chance this is solid,"
it's gotta be Bark, which is stylized as B.Arc, which apparently stands for Bio-Interstellar Arc. It's developed by TikTok Games, who has a decade of solid experience as a mobile game and support studio. In 2015, they released Adventures of Pip after a successful Kickstarter, and are now ready to launch their next original project. Bark is a multiplayer side-scrolling shmup where you play as a Saturday morning cartoon lineup of fighter pilot animals. How can that not be fun? Each character, be it the dog, cat, bunny, or the bear, has a unique playstyle, a backstory to explore, and comes with a robotic flying partner. Frankly, I'm sold. This game has looked like a blast ever since it was initially unveiled during an Indie World presentation over a year ago. Aesthetically, Bark's vibes sit somewhere between Graceful Explosion Machine and Ratchet and Clank, and I love both of those things. And best of all, Bark is only $9.99. I'm hoping we can play this one on stream soon, but it might not be this week because I've got a few irons in the fire when it comes to how to cover this game, so stay tuned. It's time to wrap up the week's new indie releases, so let's touch on 2 indies that have potential, and then we'll end on Rattleka's drop for the week, which is looking pretty good.
Clone drone in the danger zone.
Sounds like some kind of made-up kids phrase, like liar, liar, pants on fire, or whoever smelt it dealt it. Well, this week it's the name of an intriguing third-person action game that has potential. Taking place inside a voxel version of Tron, you take control of a gladiator that goes through all kinds of arena combat challenges. Usually things like third-person hacking or strafing and shooting a bow and arrow, that kind of stuff. Clone Drone released back in 2017 for PC by Doborog, who only has this game and some Santa-themed shovelware app to their name. That's weird, right? There's a gazillion multiplayer modes and apparently a huge voice-acted single-player campaign, which was unexpected. And overall, it's received generally positive reviews on PC and could be fun, but it's gonna carve out its own niche for sure. Good news is there's also a demo for this one, so you can tinker with it as you please, and if you like it, you can pick up the full game for $19.99. Click Team is a publisher who has had a couple of decent games, but isn't exactly making the games you'd write home about. On Wednesday, however, they release Zero Gunner, and I might give it a shot. As you can see, Click Team is clearly pulling very heavy influence from across the Mega Man series, but what I think is really cool about it is I see more than a couple of ideas from the Battle Network series too. Among its peers, Zero Gunner looks like an early attempt to create a running gun that falls in that late SNES, early PS1 and Saturn era. I think the asking price of $14.99 is too high though, and would have to be convinced otherwise. This seems like an $8 game that would go on sale for maybe $5 or $6, and that's the price I'm gonna look out for. And finally for the week, the last game that looked too good to wait until next week to discuss is from Rattleka and Norwegian developer Egelvik, closing out the new releases with Apple Slash for $4.99. I think as a community, we need to come together and figure out a good term for this type of visual style. It's that crude, sometimes referred to as one-bit art style with a mostly black and white palette. You've got Downwell, Gato Roboto, Binary Star Infinity, Minute. There's a lot of games that employ this awesome tone, and I don't know what to call it. Regardless, Apple Slash uses that and wraps it around a top-down hack and slash that looks kinda like an oversimplified yet needlessly violent twin-stick shooter, but without the twin sticks. Or the shooting. There's a big open world to explore, so you can tackle the main story or just go off and do your own thing. There's secrets and upgrades and skills to find, and they all play into your character's build, and the music, from what I've heard, is excellent. This is a great game for Nindies at night, so stop by tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, and we'll check it out together. You know the drill. Let me know down in the comments which of these games are going on your wish list, and if any of them are going to be a day one purchase. Also, don't forget you have a few demos available from today's list. Unbound, Clone Drone, Blaster Master Zero, as well as the upcoming Nindies Greek Memories of Azur and Out of Line. So don't forget to check them out. We weren't originally going to do deals this week in order to save on time, but a big sale just hit the eShop, so in Nindie Nation mini fashion, we'll just do it quicker than usual. These are 6 of the best indie deals at their lowest prices ever, through at least August 3rd. My favorite surprise of 2020 was a little deck-building card game called Dicey Dungeons. It's wonderful, it's full of great humor, it currently has a whopping 50% discount for only $7.49, and guess what? It includes procedurally generated levels, roguelike mechanics, and RPG elements! An oldie but a goodie in the trove of indie darlings is Don't Starve, the roguelike survival game that still manages to be among the best in its class. The Switch version is currently 75% off for $4.99 and includes a couple of the big DLC expansions, but does not include Don't Starve Together, the multiplayer mode, as it's just not available on the Switch. So, as long as you want to Don't Starve alone and you don't want to Don't Starve Together, then Don't Starve is your best bet to Don't Starve alone. Celeste is a masterpiece. Yo, if you haven't played Celeste, get off your high horse and give it a good hour of your time, and play with headphones on if you can. Celeste is also 75% off for only $4.99 and is worth every single penny and then some. Hey! Children of Morta, Nindie Nation's 2019 Game of the Year. It's like Diablo, but as good as it can get, with a beautiful story, gameplay that varies between all types of isometric action, and it's currently 60% off for $8.79. When I reviewed it for Nintendo Village, I gave it a 5 out of 5, so I think pretty much anyone should check it out, especially as it includes procedurally generated levels, roguelike mechanics, and RPG elements! And keeping with that theme a bit, another game that does a great job with the trifecta formula, but in more of a Zelda-style adventure, Sparklight is a wonderful blend of exploring, combat, crafting, and story. The whole game is maybe 8 to 10 hours long and carries fantastic production throughout. Sparklight is also 60% off, this time for $9.99, and includes procedurally generated levels, roguelike mechanics, and RPG elements! Gonna wear out that air horn. And the last time we'll do that yell for this week is for the turn-based dungeon crawler that has amassed a cult following in the Nindie Nation Discord. Crown Trick released last fall to rave reviews and delivers nearly 20 hours of thought-provoking combat that apparently I have to play, so I'll be picking this one up. As I warned you with a 33% discount for $13.39, Crown Trick also includes procedurally generated levels, roguelike mechanics, and RPG elements! Whew! Picking anything up? Holy jeez, that's a lot of great games for 1 week. Let's chat about them in the comments. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you want to see more. You can find us on Twitter, we'd love to have you join our Discord, and be sure to stop by the YouTube channel Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, because we're going to be diving into a couple of this week's releases during Nindies at Night. Otherwise, that's it for this week's abbreviated show. What'd you think? We'll be back next week with the full show, including all kinds of snark about the bad games getting dumped onto the eShop. But as far as this week is concerned, we're all done for today. Thanks for stopping by. Until next time, I'm Jeff. This has been Nindie Nation episode 122. And remember, no matter what type of game you're looking for, Nindie Nation will be right here to help you find just the thing to keep your Joy-Cons synced.